Look at that, isn't that cool? It's a neat Dino Kale. So rubbery, funky looking. I'm going to do a quick tour with you guys. It's the 15th of July and I want to show you what is growing because we've been harvesting a lot of things and nearly all of our cauliflower is getting to the point of nearly being ready to harvest. So before I had to pull a few things out, I wanted to actually show you guys what's going on in the garden. So this is my patch here of the Snowball Cauliflowers. They are starting to get to a size. I don't actually know how big they're supposed to get before you harvest them because they are snowballs, so it makes me think it's a smaller variety. But they're starting to come along, which is really exciting. I've still kept the mesh netting off and I haven't really seen an issue with extra pest pressure, which is kind of neat because now it's really easy to get in and just have a look at things and make sure everything's going okay, and it's easier to harvest things. So this is the Broccolini and you can see some of them are starting to flower, but we've still been eating them like that. Our favorite way to eat them is to just saute them with some olive oil and then put a bit of salt on top, and it's actually really nice. So you can see there's lots of little shoots everywhere, and so we just keep harvesting to try and promote the extra side growth to keep growing. So that's been really nice to have in the garden, to just come out and pick some and have that with dinner. It's really nice. This spot here is very empty now. It's where we had one of the purple cauliflowers, and we picked that and we cut up the little florets and roasted it with some olive oil, and actually found a really nice recipe. You coat it with olive oil, salt, pepper, a little bit of paprika and panko breadcrumbs, and it's delicious. I like the texture of the panko breadcrumbs, and you really only needed the salt and pepper and a little bit of paprika and it tasted delicious. Here's another one of them. You see how big it's getting? So we could probably harvest this soon and have that. So very excited to have that because it was delicious. And then I've got another one over here which is not as purple, and the florets actually look like they're starting to separate a bit. I think generally you want to eat it when it's still sort of solid before the florets start to, I don't know if you can see, it's starting to sort of come away a bit over there. So I think generally you eat it or harvest it when it's kind of tight. But you can see this one's kind of loose, whereas this one seems a bit more compact. So we'll probably have this one first, I think, though, and then I don't know if the other one is because it gets a bit more sun. We've had pretty warm weather. We've had some pretty warm weather and a warmer winter than we usually do here, so I think that is sort of making things kind of grow a bit faster and maybe go to seed. I've got some lettuces that are going to seed now. Then I've still got some more Dino Kale over here, and then the red Russian Kale, and a bunch of radishes still in here growing. That's the watermelon radishes. I did pick some of them, and we with a roast we had some of the radishes and also the Kohlrabi, and it was delicious. We just kind of cut them into cubes. Oh look, there's a little snail on there, cheeky bugger. Take him off. Doesn't look like he's eating it, but we'll take him off. But the radishes and the Kohlrabi just sort of cut up and cubed with like a bunch of other roast veggies like sweet potato and potato. It was actually really nice. I really enjoyed it because they have kind of like a sweeter flavor then. Yeah, really good. So this is the watermelon radish. Just wondering if any of them are getting to a nice size to be able to show you. With so many plants all in one space, there has been a little bit of competition for nutrients, I think, because the radishes haven't really gotten as big as I expected them to. The ones in the other bed that I harvested were a pretty nice size, about that. Also got some extra volunteers coming up. That's actually potato growing. Okay, I think I found a good one, and so I might harvest it now. Wow, that's pretty decent. So that's a watermelon radish. So that's probably the biggest one I've grown. Hopefully it should be still nice on the inside. It doesn't look like it started to go to seed. When they start to like have up a big, send up a big center stalk and go to seed, sometimes the flavor can change because then it's no longer giving energy to the root. It's trying to put energy into making seed. I also just today started my tomatoes and also one jalapeno. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it just outside or if I'll bring it inside. Because we've had pretty nice weather, I might be able to keep it outside and just keep it covered at night. I've got it covered at the moment, and I do have a little propagation thermometer in there, so I'll be able to kind of check the temperature. If it gets too cold, I'll probably bring it inside. But we're kind of just winging it at the moment, so we'll see. But I just want to show you guys the inside of this radish. So you can see it's kind of green on the outside. And this one might not be actually ready yet, but this is not a very good example of what I wanted to show you, because usually it is a beautiful pink on the inside, but look how massive that is. So I'll probably use that today, just roast it up in the oven. I've actually picked another one, hoping that I might be able to show you what the inside usually looks like. So again, like a bit green on the outside. Yeah, and then pink on the inside. How neat is that? I just think it's really cool. Usually you can get it to go sort of all the way to the outside, and it kind of just bleeds all the way to the edge. So I just think they're really neat. They're my favorite radish to grow. And so back to the rest of the garden. These big ones in the middle here, if you remember, these are my purple sprouting broccolis. I think they take a while for the purple broccolis to start developing, because they start growing kind of in here in the little nooks down there. But yeah, I think from what I've researched, they take a while for that to happen. And then I've got this beautiful orange flash calendula. Like, it's just getting massive now. It looks beautiful. I'm really glad that I planted this in the corner over here. And again, another orange flash calendula down here. I did something crazy, and I actually bought some tomato starts and chucked them in because the peas hadn't sprouted, and so I threw caution to the wind and just purchased some from Bunnings and chucked them in to see how they go. They're struggling a fair bit, so it was probably not a good call, but it wasn't that much money, and if it fails then that's fine, but if it works then I'll have early tomatoes. But some of the peas, well, a lot of the peas have actually come up. This is a chamomile that I transplanted from one of the other beds, and these peas along here for this first half of the bed, if you remember, they are the variety telephone, so they're supposed to get really tall. And this is a volunteer dill, and then I've got some more peas as well as the random tomatoes growing down here. This is where the sugar snap peas start. And then this whole bed is all sugar snap peas again. So we'll see. I don't know with the hot weather if they are going to struggle. They're actually looking kind of funny color. So I don't know, we'll see. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but otherwise it was just going to be bare until I planted out tomatoes. So I thought, why not? Let's just give it a go. Then I've got the beautiful Orchid cream Nasturtium here, and 4 of the Munchkin cabbages, which are starting to get little heads. I don't know how big these are supposed to get either. It's my first time growing them, and the name Munchkin makes me assume that they are a smaller kind of heading cabbage. There's 4 there that you can see, it's a bit hidden under that. 4 there. And then these 2 red Express cabbages are getting big leaves. The head is still quite small, so I think that's still going to take a while. They've got some grey aphids in them. The way I've been handling the grey aphids in the garden is I've been getting my hose and just putting it on the fan setting, which is quite strong and powerful, and I just get in and blast it, and the plants seem to hold up fine with it, but it just then washes blasts off all the aphids, because I just prefer to try that method instead of spraying anything at this moment. I had some extra starts from my leftover brassicas, and so I've just randomly popped them in. This one's getting attacked by, oh no, this one's going to seed. Must have got too hot, so it's already making a little head, so it must be a bit stressed out, I reckon. So this one looks like it's got some grey aphids on it a little bit. So I didn't know what variety this one is, but it looks like a little broccoli, so maybe this was a purple sprouting broccoli. So yeah, I might just because you can eat the leaves and everything, so you could just I might even just harvest it maybe this week and just saute it as well, because these leaves are quite tender and they're actually kind of nice when they're sauteed a little bit. This is the potting mix that I made for starting my tomato starts. It was just vermiculite, cocoa coir and potting mix, and I used this sieve to sieve the potting mix, and it got out a lot of the chunky bark. So this is all the stuff that didn't come through the sieve. See, it's quite big, and so that's made it really helpful to have sort of a finer seed starting mix for the tomatoes. So that was really neat. I liked that process. And then I've still got some dills in here. I've still got my big Swede, which is looking pretty nice. So I'll probably use that in a soup or something, or even just roast it. And the rest of my other Swedes that have had it pretty rough the whole season, I've been letting them to see how they go. I mean, that one at the back's doing all right, but there's a couple of poppies still growing underneath, so once I am able to harvest the Swedes, then the poppies will start to grow. Another beautiful calendula. This is the porcupine one, and the leeks are doing all right. Starting to come along here. I just top dressed them with a bit of compost there. And this is another extra brassica that I had. Again, I don't know what the variety was. It might end up going to seed as well. I could end up doing the same thing and just sauteing it. And then I've got the 4 Brussel sprouts, and they have been getting eaten on a little bit by aphids, maybe slugs. But it was an experiment anyway, so we'll see how we go. We might be able to get some off of them. It's just been a little bit tricky with the weather getting warm and then going cold. But see, they're a bit bigger on this one, but they're not tightly packed as I kind of thought that they would be. So I don't know if that's because we've had warm weather and so they are not staying nice and tight. Not sure. Another porcupine calendula in here. This is the cornflower. I think it's a mix, tall double mix. And these are my sad looking kohlrabis. They have been the ones most attacked by the grey aphids, but they were really nice, chopped up and roasted. So I think so far that's what I'm going to be doing with them this season. And look at my massive one here. It's a green one. Look at that. It's been the best one, but you can see it's got grey aphids all over it soon. So I probably just need to get around to just picking them and roasting them and just eating them. So then the rest of the bed is free for other things. So the same with these guys. I've just been coming through with the fan setting on the hose and just blasting them off to try and help the plant a little bit. Another calendula. This one's kind of interesting. It's really orange on some of them and not on the others. This is another orange flash. I popped in some spring onion starts in here, and this again is the perpetual spinach. In the containers, this is another snowball cauliflower that I planted out some blue curled Scotch kale here, my lettuces which are going to seed, which I don't mind. We didn't end up eating this as much as I thought we would, so I don't know if I will give much space or even any space to lettuces next season. Might just use something else. Another puppy in there. That's the container that has ginger, yeah. And then another brassica. I think that's a purple sprouting as well. So we'll see how that one goes. Then I've still got my strawberries, the pansies, which are just nice to have some colour. This is my calendula that has struggled from the very beginning. I think it's a porcupine. Yeah, it's an orange porcupine. Then the purple asparagus, still doing okay. It's got ants living in it, so it could be under a bit of stress from that. Dazzling blue kale, which I haven't harvested anything off this. It's just been kind of pretty over here, and then I don't mind if my son comes along and just plays and picks with it. Then I planted out some more of the spring onions over here. I need to come through and water this one. The containers just dry out so quickly. And this one is the scarlet kale, which is quite pretty, and it's perked up a bit. I did come through and use some liquid fertilizer for all of these containers to try and give them a bit of a boost. And there's my mint. I think it will perk up again in spring and summer, but it's looking good. I'm glad I kept it in a container so it could just stay there and not spread through the whole garden. So that's everything that's going on in the garden for mid-July. I just wanted to show you guys an update because we are going to be harvesting through a lot of this stuff in the next couple of weeks, and I didn't want to take it all out before I could show you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.